The night sky over the New Mexico desert erupted in a brilliant flash of blue-white light. To the casual observer, it might have seemed like an unusually bright shooting star or perhaps a meteor burning up in the atmosphere. But Dr. Elena Reyes, hunched over her array of sophisticated monitoring equipment at the Alamogordo Observatory, knew better. Her computers were going haywire, spitting out data that defied conventional explanation. The object hurtling towards Earth was moving too fast, changing direction too abruptly, and emitting energy signatures unlike anything in her extensive database. "Holy shit," she breathed, her dark eyes wide with a mixture of fear and excitement. This is it. Elena had spent her entire career searching for signs of extraterrestrial life, enduring ridicule from her peers, and fighting for every scrap of funding. Now it seemed all those sleepless nights and bitter disappointments were about to pay off. She reached for her phone with trembling hands, ready to alert her superiors, when a deafening boom shook the observatory. The impact. Whatever it was had just crashed somewhere in the desert, much closer than she had anticipated. For a moment, Elena hesitated. Protocol dictated that she should wait for backup, for the military to secure the area. But a lifetime of scientific curiosity overrode her caution. Grabbing her emergency kit and a handheld sensor, she rushed to her battered Jeep and sped off into the night. The crash site wasn't hard to find. A trail of scorched earth led to a smoking crater, at the center of which sat a sleek, silver craft unlike any human vessel. Its surface was unmarred despite the impact, gleaming in the moonlight as if it had just rolled off an assembly line. Elena approached cautiously, her sensor beeping frantically. The readings were off the charts: exotic particles, unknown elements, energy fluctuations that shouldn't be possible according to the laws of physics as she understood them. A hiss of escaping air made her jump. A seam appeared in the craft's smooth exterior, widening into an aperture. Elena's heart pounded in her chest as a figure emerged. It, he, she, was roughly humanoid, but there the similarities ended. The alien stood nearly 8 feet tall, its body covered in iridescent scales that shifted color with each movement. Instead of a face, it had a cluster of sensory organs arranged in a spiral pattern. 4 arms ended in hands with too many fingers, each tipped with a retractable claw. But what struck Elena most was the alien's obvious distress. It stumbled as it exited the craft, one of its arms clutching at what appeared to be a wound in its side. A viscous, glowing fluid seeped between its fingers. "Hello," Elena said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not going to hurt you. Do you need help?" The alien's sensory cluster oriented towards her. For a long moment it was utterly still. Then, to Elena's amazement, it spoke, not in any human language, but directly into her mind. Danger. The alien's thoughts burned into her consciousness. Must warn. Weapon. Hope. Before Elena could respond, the sound of approaching vehicles filled the air. Helicopters thundered overhead, their searchlights cutting through the darkness. The military had arrived. The alien's distress intensified, its thoughts becoming a jumble of panic and urgency. It reached out with one of its uninjured arms, offering Elena a small glowing cube. "Take," it communicated. "Protect. Future of your species depends on it." Instinctively, Elena accepted the cube. As soon as it touched her skin, a jolt of energy surged through her body. Images and information flooded her mind: stars, ships, battles, and a device of unimaginable power. The alien swayed, clearly weakening. "Hide," it urged. "Trust no one. They come. Prepare." With that final warning, the alien's legs gave out. It collapsed to the ground, its iridescent scales fading to a dull gray. Elena stood frozen, the cube clutched to her chest, as armored vehicles surrounded the crash site. "Step away from the alien and put your hands in the air," a voice boomed through a megaphone. Elena looked down at the cube, then at the fallen alien. In that moment, she made a decision that would alter the course of human history. Instead of surrendering, she turned and ran, disappearing into the desert night with humanity's newfound hope clutched tightly in her hands. As she fled, Elena's mind raced with the implications of what had just occurred. The alien had risked everything to bring this weapon to Earth. But why? What threat was so dire that it would drive a being from another world to such desperate action? The answers, she knew, lay within the tiny Q she now possessed. But unlocking its secrets would be no easy task. The fate of humanity now rested on her shoulders, and Elena Reyes, astronomer, lifelong searcher for extraterrestrial life, found herself utterly unprepared for the weight of that responsibility. Behind her, the night erupted into chaos, shouts, the whine of energy weapons, the thrum of powerful engines. The military was securing the crash site, no doubt confiscating the alien's ship and its lifeless body. Elena felt a pang of guilt for abandoning the being that had traveled so far to help humanity, but she knew she had made the right choice. Whatever knowledge the Q contained, it couldn't be allowed to fall into the wrong hands. As she ran, memories not her own flickered through Elena's mind, glimpses of a vast, interstellar civilization, of worlds both wondrous and terrifying, and behind it all, a creeping dread, a sense of an implacable enemy advancing across the stars, consuming all in its path. Elena's lungs burned as she pushed herself to her limits, her feet pounding against the hard-packed desert earth. She had no plan, no destination in mind. All she knew was that she had to get as far away from the crash site as possible before sunrise. As the first hints of dawn began to color the eastern sky, Elena finally allowed herself to slow down. She found herself in a narrow canyon, the high walls offering some measure of concealment. Exhausted, she slumped against a boulder, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Only then did she allow herself to examine the cube more closely. It was small enough to fit comfortably in the palm of her hand, its surface a swirling mix of colors that seemed to shift and change as she watched. It felt warm to the touch, and she could sense a subtle vibration emanating from within. Okay, Elena muttered to herself, her scientific mind asserting itself despite the surreal situation. Let's approach this logically. What do we know? She began to mentally catalogue the facts. An alien had crash-landed on Earth. It had been fleeing from something, carrying what it claimed was a weapon capable of saving humanity. The cube was clearly of alien origin, possibly some kind of data storage device or computer. But the most pressing question remained unanswered. What was the threat? What enemy was so formidable that it would drive an advanced alien civilization to seek help from a species that had barely taken its first steps into space? As if in response to her thoughts, the cube pulsed with light. Elena gasped as a holographic display sprang to life above it, filling the air with swirling stars and alien text. "Oh my God," she breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "This is incredible." The display zoomed in on a particular section of space, highlighting a cluster of stars. As Elena watched, several of the stars winked out, replaced by an ominous, spreading darkness. A chill ran down her spine as understanding dawned. This wasn't just a weapon she held in her hands. It was a warning. Something was coming, something that extinguished entire star systems in its wake. And now, for reasons she couldn't yet fathom, the task of preparing humanity for this cosmic threat had fallen to her. As the sun rose over the New Mexico desert, Dr. Elena Reyes, now the most wanted person on the planet and humanity's unwitting champion, began to formulate a plan. She would need allies, resources, and above all, time to unravel the secrets of the alien cube. The game-changing weapon to save humanity was now in her possession, but without the knowledge to use it, without a way to unite the world against a threat they couldn't yet comprehend, it might as well have been a worthless trinket. Elena's journey had only just begun. As she set off deeper into the canyon, the weight of the cube a constant reminder of her newfound purpose, she couldn't help but wonder. Was she humanity's salvation, or had she just doomed them all? The story of humanity's greatest challenge and its finest hour was about to unfold. Dr. Elena Reyes had been on the run for 3 days, her world reduced to the harsh landscape of the New Mexico desert and the enigmatic alien cube that never left her possession. She was exhausted, dehydrated, and beginning to question her own sanity. Had she really encountered an alien, or was this all some elaborate hallucination brought on by too many late nights at the observatory? The cube pulsed gently in her hand, as if sensing her doubts. Its smooth surface rippled with colors that shouldn't exist, a constant reminder that everything had changed. As the sun began to set on the third day, Elena stumbled upon an abandoned gas station, its faded sign barely legible in the dying light. It was the first sign of civilization she'd seen since fleeing the crash site. Cautiously, she approached, her parched throat crying out for water. The station was deserted, dust coating every surface. Elena managed to find a few bottles of water and some stale snacks. As she gulped down the lukewarm water, her gaze fell upon an ancient television set perched on a shelf behind the counter. On a whim, she flicked it on, not really expecting it to work. To her surprise, the screen flickered to life, filling the dingy store with an eerie blue glow. "Continues its lockdown of New Mexico," a harried-looking news anchor was saying. "The government maintains that this is merely a training exercise, but eyewitness reports of strange lights in the sky and military activity in the desert have fueled speculation of something far more extraordinary." Elena's heart raced. They were looking for her. The news report continued. In a related story, authorities are seeking Dr. Elena Reyes, an astronomer from the Alamogordo Observatory, for questioning in connection with the events in New Mexico. Dr. Reyes is considered a person of interest and may be in possession of sensitive materials. If you have any information on her whereabouts, please contact. Elena switched off the TV, her mind reeling. She was now officially a fugitive, but more importantly, the government was covering up the alien encounter. Why? What did they know that they weren't telling the public? As she pondered her next move, a sound outside made her freeze. Car engines growing louder. Headlights swept across the grimy windows of the gas station. Elena's heart pounded as she quickly gathered her meager supplies and the alien cube. She slipped out the back door just as vehicles pulled up to the front of the station. Crouching behind a rusted-out car, Elena watched as several men in dark suits exited the vehicles. They moved with purpose, clearly military or government agents despite their civilian attire. "Check every inch of this place," one of them barked. She can't have gone far. Elena knew she had to move, but where? The desert stretched out endlessly in every direction, offering no shelter or escape. Just then, the cube in her hand grew warm. A beam of light shot out from it, invisible to the searching agents but clear as day to Elena. It pointed west, towards a cluster of low hills in the distance. Without fully understanding why, Elena trusted the cube's guidance. Keeping low and using the deepening shadows for cover, she began to make her way towards the hills. As she walked, the cube continued to communicate with her in its strange, non-verbal way. Images flashed through her mind. A hidden cavern, ancient carvings, a device buried deep underground. Whatever the cube was leading her to, it had been on Earth far longer than she could have imagined. Hours passed. The moon rose, casting an ethereal glow over the desert landscape. Elena's legs ached, her lungs burned with each breath, but still she pressed on. The cube's urgency was palpable, driving her forward despite her exhaustion. Finally, as the first hints of dawn began to color the eastern sky, Elena reached the base of the hills. The cube's light led her to a narrow crevice, barely visible among the rocks. Squeezing through the opening, Elena found herself in a vast cavern. The walls were covered in intricate carvings depicting battles among the stars and beings that defied description. At the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, its surface inlaid with patterns that matched those on the cube. As Elena approached the pedestal, the cube grew almost too hot to hold. Acting on instinct, she placed it in a recess at the top of the pedestal. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a low hum that she felt more than heard, the cavern came to life. Holographic displays sprang up around her, filling the air with swirling galaxies and alien text. The carvings on the walls began to glow, pulsing in rhythm with the cube. And then a voice spoke, not in her mind this time, but emanating from the very air around her. "Greetings, Elena Reyes of Earth," the voice said, its tone somehow both ancient and timeless. "We have waited long for one such as you to arrive." Elena's scientific mind warred with the impossible reality before her. What are you?" she managed to ask. "We are the Guardians," the voice replied. "An alliance of species dedicated to protecting life throughout the galaxy. We have watched your world for millennia, waiting for the day when humanity would be ready to join us." The holographic display shifted, showing Earth as seen from space. "Your world stands on the brink, Elena Reyes. A great darkness approaches, one that threatens not just your species, but all life in the galaxy." Images flashed before her eyes, entire worlds consumed by a creeping void, civilizations far more advanced than Earth's falling before an implacable foe. "The Devourers," the voice continued, a note of sadness evident. "A force as old as the universe itself, driven by an insatiable hunger to consume all energy, all life. They have destroyed countless worlds, and now they have set their sights on your galaxy." Elena's mind reeled at the implications. "But why us? Why Earth? We're nothing compared to the civilizations you've shown me." The cavern seemed to pulse with approval at her question. "Because, Elena Reyes, humanity possesses something unique, a potential that, if realized, could turn the tide against the Devourers." The holographic display zoomed in on a human brain, highlighting structures that Elena had never seen before in any medical text. "Hidden within your species lies the key to unlocking abilities that even we, with all our advanced technology, have never achieved. Telepathy, psychokinesis, the ability to manipulate the very fabric of space-time, all of these and more are possible if only humanity can awaken to its true potential." Elena struggled to process this information. It seemed impossible, like something out of a science fiction novel. And yet, after everything she had seen in the past few days, could she really discount it? "The cube you carry," the voice continued, "is both a key and a weapon. It contains the knowledge to awaken humanity's latent abilities and the plans for a device that, powered by these awakened minds, could create a barrier that even the Devourers cannot penetrate." The gravity of the situation hit Elena like a physical blow. The fate of not just Earth, but the entire galaxy rested on her shoulders. "But I'm just one person," she protested. "How am I supposed to do all this?" The cavern hummed with what Elena could only interpret as encouragement. "You will not be alone, Elena Reyes. Even now, others are being drawn to this place, individuals whose minds are ready to be awakened. They will be your allies in the trials to come." As if on cue, Elena heard voices echoing from the cavern entrance. For a moment she tensed, fearing that the government agents had found her. But as the newcomers came into view, she realized these were ordinary people, men and women of various ages and backgrounds, all looking as confused and awestruck as she felt. "Welcome, Seekers," the voice addressed them. "You have been chosen to stand against the darkness. The path ahead will be fraught with danger, but together, you have the power to change the course of history." Elena looked at the faces of her newfound allies, seeing in their eyes the same mix of fear and determination that she felt. Whatever lay ahead, she knew that this moment marked a turning point not just in her life, but in the story of humanity itself. As the voice of the Guardians began to explain the nature of the threat they faced and the power that lay dormant within them, Elena felt a surge of something she hadn't experienced since the night she witnessed the alien crash landing, Hope. The cavern thrummed with energy as ancient knowledge began to flow into their minds. Elena could feel her consciousness expanding, touching realms of thought and perception she had never imagined possible. And as she looked at her companions, she saw that they were experiencing the same awakening. Their journey to save humanity and the galaxy had only just begun. But in that moment, deep in a hidden cavern in the New Mexico desert, the first seeds of Earth's defense against the cosmic horror of the Devourers were being sown. Little did they know that even as they prepared for the battles ahead, forces both on Earth and beyond were already moving against them. The race to awaken humanity's potential and construct the ultimate weapon had begun, and the fate of all life hung in the balance. The hidden cavern, once a silent testament to ancient alien visits, now hummed with activity. Dr. Elena Reyes and her unlikely group of allies had spent the last week absorbing the knowledge imparted by the Guardian's technology. Each day brought new revelations and challenges as they grappled with abilities that defied conventional science. Elena stood before a holographic display, her brow furrowed in concentration. With a subtle gesture of her hand, she manipulated the complex schematics floating before her. The plans for the Devourer's defense system, the weapon that could save humanity, was slowly taking shape. "It's like nothing I've ever seen," she murmured, more to herself than to her companions. The principles behind it, it's not just advanced technology, it's like it operates on a completely different set of physical laws. Behind her, a young man named Alex, formerly a high school physics teacher, nodded in agreement. It's as if it's designed to manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe itself. Gravity, electromagnetism, even the strong and weak nuclear forces. This weapon seems capable of altering them all on a cosmic scale. But how are we supposed to build something like this? This came from Maria, an engineer who had been drawn to the cavern like the rest of them. Even if we understand the theory, the materials required, some of these elements don't even exist on Earth. Elena turned to face the group, her eyes blazing with a mixture of determination and barely contained excitement. "That's where our new abilities come in," she said. "The Guardians didn't just give us knowledge. They've unlocked potential within us that we're only beginning to understand." As if to demonstrate, Elena closed her eyes and focused. The air around her began to shimmer, and slowly, impossibly, a small sphere of metallic material materialized in her outstretched hand. It gleamed with an otherworldly luster, its surface rippling like liquid while maintaining a solid form. "Psychic manifestation," Alex breathed, his eyes wide with wonder. "You're literally creating matter from energy, reshaping reality with your mind." Elena nodded, letting the sphere dissipate back into nothingness. It's not easy, and it takes a tremendous amount of concentration. But with practice, we should be able to create the components we need, no matter how exotic they might be. "Okay, so we can make the parts," Maria conceded. "But assembling them, the precision required, the scale of the device, it's beyond anything humanity has ever attempted." "That's why we need to expand our group," Elena said, her tone growing serious. "What we're attempting here, it's not just about building a weapon. We're talking about a fundamental shift in human consciousness, awakening abilities that have lain dormant in our species for millennia. We need more minds, more talents." Alex frowned. "But how do we do that without alerting the authorities? We're already fugitives. The moment we step out of this cavern, we'll be hunted." Elena's expression turned grim. "We don't have a choice. The Devourers are coming, and we need to be ready. We'll have to take the risk." Just then, a new voice joined the conversation, Zara, a former intelligence analyst who had proven invaluable in helping them evade detection so far. "I think I might have a solution," she said, approaching the group with a tablet in hand. "I've been monitoring communications, trying to find others who might be sensitive to the Guardian's call. Look at this." She held up the tablet, showing a series of news reports from around the world. Incidents of seemingly impossible feats, objects moving on their own, people demonstrating unexplained abilities, even reports of spontaneous healing, were on the rise. "It's happening globally," Zara explained. "The activation of the Guardian's technology here isn't just affecting us. It's triggering awakenings all over the planet. We're not alone." The implications were staggering. Elena's mind raced with the possibilities. "We need to find a way to reach out to these people, to bring them here so we can pool our knowledge and abilities. I might be able to help with that, came another voice. This one belonged to Raj, a soft-spoken computer programmer who had barely left the cavern's ancient yet hyper-advanced computer systems since their arrival. I think I've figured out how to tap into the Guardian's communication network. If I'm right, we should be able to send a message directly to the minds of anyone who's begun to awaken. Elena felt a surge of hope. Do it, she said, but be careful. We don't want to alert the wrong people. As Raj set to work, Elena turned back to the schematics of the weapon. The complexity of it was daunting, but she could feel understanding slowly crystallizing in her mind. It wasn't just a device, it was a key to unlocking the very structure of reality itself. The weapon, as far as she could understand, worked by creating a network of interconnected nodes, each one powered by the psychic energy of an awakened human mind. Together, these nodes would form a lattice of pure thought and energy, capable of reshaping the very fabric of space-time. When activated, the weapon would create a kind of bubble around Earth, a zone where the laws of physics could be selectively altered. Within this zone, the Devourer's ability to consume energy and life would be nullified, their very existence incompatible with the new rules of reality established by humanity's combined psychic might. But the implications went far beyond mere defense. If they could build this, if they could learn to harness the full potential of the human mind, the possibilities were endless. Faster than light travel, manipulation of matter at its most fundamental level, perhaps even the ability to create or destroy entire universes. It was a power that, in the wrong hands, could be catastrophic. Elena understood now why the Guardians had waited so long, why they had hidden this knowledge until humanity faced an existential threat. The temptation to misuse such abilities would be immense. "We've got company," Zora's urgent voice cut through Elena's contemplation. Military vehicles, about 10 miles out and closing fast. They must have picked up on the energy emissions from the cavern. Elena's heart raced, but she forced herself to remain calm. "How long do we have?" 20 minutes. "Maybe less," Zora replied, her fingers flying over her tablet as she accessed satellite feeds. "All right, everyone," Elena addressed the group, her voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her insides. "This is what we've been preparing for. Remember your training. We're not fighting them. Our goal is to evade and escape. Use your abilities only if absolutely necessary." As the group scrambled to gather essential equipment and data, Elena approached the pedestal where the alien Q still rested. She placed her hand on it, feeling the warm pulse of energy that had become so familiar. "I hope we're ready for this," she whispered. In response, the cube flared with light. Elena gasped as a flood of information poured into her mind, not just knowledge this time, but a plan. She saw a network of hidden sites around the world, each one containing caches of Guardian's technology. She understood now that this cavern was just the first step, a testing ground to see if humanity was ready for the next phase. "Change of plans," she called out to the others. "We're not running. Not yet. There's something we need to do first." As the sound of approaching vehicles grew louder, Elena quickly outlined what she had learned. The group's eyes widened as they realized the true scale of what they were undertaking. "It's not just about building a weapon," Elena explained. "We're laying the groundwork for a global awakening. Each of these sites contains technology that can amplify and spread the abilities we've gained. If we can activate them all, we create a psychic network spanning the entire planet," Alex finished, understanding dawning on his face. Elena nodded. "Exactly. And with that network in place, we'll have the power and the unity we need to construct the defense system. But first, we need to split up. Each of us needs to reach one of these sites and activate it." The gravity of the moment hung heavy in the air. What Elena was proposing was nothing less than a revolution in human consciousness, a change that would alter the course of history irrevocably. "What about the military forces outside?" Maria asked, her voice tense. Elena smiled, a plan already forming in her mind. "Leave that to me. I think it's time we gave them a demonstration of what humanity is truly capable of." As her companions prepared for their respective journeys, Elena stepped towards the entrance of the cavern. She could hear the rumble of engines, the shouts of soldiers. But for the first time since this all began, she felt no fear. She reached out with her mind, feeling the currents of energy that flowed through all things. With a thought, she reshaped those currents, bending light around the cavern entrance. To the outside world, there would be nothing but unbroken rock face. It was a small feat compared to what they would soon attempt, but it was a start. As Elena watched her friends disappear one by one, teleporting to distant locations across the globe, she felt a profound sense of purpose. The war for Earth's survival had begun in earnest, but it would not be fought with guns or bombs. It would be a battle of minds, of human potential unleashed against a cosmic threat. As the first rays of dawn broke over the desert, Elena Reyes stepped out of the cavern to face the forces arrayed against her. In her hand, she held the alien cube. In her mind, she held the key to humanity's future. The next phase of their journey was about to begin. The weapon to save humanity was no longer just a set of schematics. It was becoming a reality, forged in the crucible of human will and alien wisdom. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the Devourers continued their inexorable approach, unaware that their greatest challenge awaited them on a small blue planet on the outer edges of a spiral galaxy. The world was changing, and humanity was struggling to keep up. In the months since Elena and her companions had activated the network of Guardian sites across the globe, reports of inexplicable phenomena had skyrocketed. People from all walks of life were suddenly manifesting abilities that defied explanation: telekinesis, telepathy, spontaneous healing, and more. Governments worldwide were in chaos, torn between the desire to control these new powers and the urgent need to understand and harness them against the looming threat. The existence of the Devourers was no longer a secret, as the United Nations had been forced to make a global announcement after multiple countries independently confirmed the approach of a vast, unidentified object at the edge of the solar system. Elena stood before the UN Security Council, her heart pounding but her voice steady. The eyes of the world were upon her as she addressed the assembled leaders. "Distinguished representatives," she began, "I know that what I'm about to say will sound incredible, perhaps even impossible, but the evidence is all around us. Humanity is on the brink of an evolutionary leap, one that we desperately need if we're to survive the coming storm." She gestured, and a holographic display sprang to life above the council table, showing the schematics for the defense weapon. Gasps and murmurs filled the chamber. "This is our best hope," Elena continued. "A planetary defense system that harnesses the collective psychic energy of awakened human minds. But to build it, to power it, we need your help. We need to awaken as many people as possible, as quickly as possible." The Russian representative leaned forward, his brow furrowed. "And how do you propose we do this, Dr. Reyes? These abilities seem to manifest randomly. We cannot simply flip a switch and awaken billions of minds." Elena smiled. "Actually, we can. The Guardian technology we've discovered includes devices capable of triggering and amplifying these latent abilities on a massive scale. But we need your cooperation to distribute and activate them worldwide." The chamber erupted into heated debate. Some representatives argued for caution, fearing the societal upheaval that would result from such a sudden change. Others pushed for immediate action, seeing it as their only hope against the Devourers. As the arguments raged, Elena felt a familiar presence touch her mind. Alex, now overseeing the construction of a major component of the defense system in the Himalayas, was reaching out telepathically. "How's it going?" His thoughts echoed in her mind. Elena suppressed a sigh. "About as well as we expected. They're scared, Alex, and I can't blame them. What we're proposing will change everything." "We don't have a choice," Alex replied, his mental voice tinged with urgency. "The Devourers will reach Mars within a week. Once they start consuming the planet, their approach will accelerate. We're running out of time." Elena knew he was right. Squaring her shoulders, she addressed the council again, her voice ringing with authority. "I understand your concerns," she said, silencing the ongoing arguments. "But the simple fact is this: if we don't act now, there won't be a human civilization left to worry about. The Devourers will strip our planet bare of all life and energy. This is our only chance." She waved her hand, and the holographic display changed, showing a simulation of the Devourers' approach. The representatives watched in horror as the projection showed Earth going dark, all life extinguished in a matter of days. "We have the power to stop this," Elena pressed, "but only if we stand united. Every awakened mind adds to our strength. Every person who learns to harness these abilities becomes another shield standing between humanity and extinction." Slowly, reluctantly, the tide of opinion began to turn. As the council debated, Elena received updates from her team scattered across the globe. Maria, overseeing the production of crucial components in a repurposed factory in Detroit, reported that production was ahead of schedule. Raj, coordinating the global information network from a hidden base in Bangalore, confirmed that more and more awakened individuals were joining their cause every hour. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the council reached a decision. The Secretary-General stood, his face grave but determined. "Dr. Reyes," he announced, "the United Nations Security Council hereby authorizes the global distribution and activation of the awakening devices. May God help us all." Elena felt a wave of relief wash over her, quickly followed by a surge of determination. This was just the beginning. The real work was about to start. Over the next days and weeks, the world transformed at a dizzying pace. Guardian awakening devices were deployed in major population centers across the planet. As they activated, millions of people found themselves suddenly gifted with abilities they had never dreamed possible. The societal impact was immense. Overnight, industries were revolutionized as telekinesis and matter manipulation made traditional manufacturing obsolete. The energy sector was upended as psychics learned to draw power directly from the quantum foam of space-time. Medical science advanced by leaps and bounds as healers with the ability to manipulate the human body at a cellular level emerged. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were those who abused their newfound powers, leading to a spike in crime and civil unrest. Governments struggled to adapt their laws and enforcement mechanisms to deal with individuals who could read minds or phase through solid matter. Through it all, Elena and her core team worked tirelessly to coordinate the construction of the planetary defense system. The weapon itself was taking shape, a vast network of psychic amplifiers and reality warping devices that encircled the globe. As the Devourers crossed the orbit of Mars, now a lifeless husk stripped of its atmosphere and energy, the first tests of the defense system began. Elena stood in the control center, a converted military bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around her, banks of monitors displayed data streams from every corner of the planet. "All stations report in," she called out, her voice tense with anticipation. One by one, the responses came in from around the world. Alex from the Himalayas, Maria from Detroit, Zara from a floating platform in the middle of the Pacific, Raj from Bangalore, and dozens of others, each overseeing a crucial component of the global network. "All systems a go," Raj confirmed, his voice tinged with awe. "We're seeing unprecedented levels of psychic energy. The global consciousness it's beautiful, Elena. I've never seen anything like it." Elena allowed herself a small smile. Despite all the challenges, despite the fear and chaos, humanity had come together in a way she had never thought possible. United by a common threat, driven by newfound abilities, they stood ready to face the greatest challenge in their history. "All right," she said, taking a deep breath. "Let's light this candle. Initiate the defense grid." As one, the team activated their respective stations. Around the world, massive structures hummed to life, drawing on the psychic energy of billions of awakened minds. The air itself seemed to shimmer as reality began to warp and bend. On the monitors, Elena watched as a shimmering barrier began to form around the Earth. It was barely visible at first, a faint iridescence high in the atmosphere. But as more and more energy poured into the system, it solidified, becoming a translucent shield that enveloped the entire planet. "My God," someone whispered. "We did it." But Elena knew this was just the beginning. The real test was yet to come. As if on cue, alarms began to blare throughout the control center. Multiple contacts detected at the edge of the solar system, Zara reported, her voice tight with tension. They're like nothing we've ever seen. Massive energy signatures completely off the charts. Elena steeled herself. The Devourers had arrived. "This is it, everyone," she addressed her team, and through them, the entire awakened population of Earth. Her words echoed not just through speakers, but through the psychic network that now connected all of humanity. "Remember your training. Focus your minds. We are the last line of defense, not just for our world, but for all life in the galaxy." As the Devourers approached, their vast forms blotting out the stars, Helena felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. Everything had led to this moment. The fate of Earth, of humanity, of countless alien civilizations who had fallen before the cosmic horror now bearing down on them, it all hung in the balance. The final battle for the survival of life itself was about to begin, and humanity, newly awakened and united as never before, stood ready to face it. The void of space erupted with unimaginable energy as the Devourers made their final approach to Earth. These cosmic entities defied conventional description, massive, writhing forms of pure darkness that seemed to absorb light and matter alike. As they drew closer, the very fabric of reality began to warp and twist around them. In the control center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Elena Reyes watched with a mixture of awe and terror as the monitors displayed the incoming threat. The Devourer's scale was beyond anything they had anticipated, each one easily the size of a small moon. "My God," Alex's voice came through the comm system, tinged with disbelief. "How are we supposed to stop something like that?" Elena steeled herself, pushing down her own fear. "We stick to the plan," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around her. "The defense grid is our best shot. Everyone, prepare for psychic engagement." Around the world, billions of newly awakened humans focus their minds, channeling their collective psychic energy into the planetary defense system. The translucent shield surrounding Earth pulsed with power, strengthening as it prepared to face its first true test. As the lead Devourer reached the outer edge of the shield, there was a moment of breathless anticipation. Then, with a silent explosion of light that momentarily outshone the sun, the two forces collided. The impact sent shockwaves rippling through the psychic network. In the control center, Elena gasped as she felt the strain on her mind, echoed a billionfold through the connected consciousness of humanity. But the shield held. "It's working." Raj shouted from his station, his fingers flying over holographic displays. "The Devourer can't breach the barrier. Its energy-draining abilities are being nullified within our altered space-time field." A cheer went up from the assembled team, but Elena knew it was far from over. The Devourers, seemingly confused by this unexpected resistance, began to spread out, probing the shield for weaknesses. "They're adapting," Zara warned, her voice tense. "I'm detecting energy fluctuations. They're trying to harmonize with our shield frequency." Elena nodded grimly. They had anticipated this. "Initiate Phase 2, she ordered. "Alex, Maria, you're up." In the Himalayas and Detroit respectively, Alex and Maria activated specially designed amplifiers. These devices, reverse-engineered from Guardian technology, were capable of projecting focused beams of psychic energy. Twin lances of brilliant light shot out from the earth, piercing the shield and striking two of the Devourers head-on. The cosmic entities recoiled, their forms seeming to unravel slightly where the beams hit. As Elena looked around at her team, battered, exhausted, but alive, she felt a swell of pride and hope. This was not the end, she knew, but a new beginning. Humanity had been forever changed by this experience. The awakening of their latent abilities, the unity forged in the crucible of cosmic war, These would shape the course of human history for generations to come. What now? Alex asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. Elena smiled, her eyes bright with a vision of the future unfolding before her. Now, she said, we rebuild, we learn, we grow. And we prepare. Prepare, Maria echoed. For what? For everything, Elena replied. We've taken our first steps into a larger universe. There are wonders out there beyond our wildest dreams, and dangers we can scarcely imagine. But whatever comes next, we'll face it together. As the sun rose on a new day, its light shining on a changed Earth, humanity looked to the stars not with fear, but with anticipation. The Devourers had been defeated, but Elena knew this was just the beginning of their cosmic journey. The weapon that had saved humanity would now become the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe, and Elena Reyes, once a simple astronomer, now stood ready to lead her species into a new age of exploration and discovery. The battle was over. The adventure was just beginning. Aftermath and New Horizons, 2,000 words. 5 years had passed since the day humanity stood united against the Devourers. The Earth, once a pale blue dot in the cosmic ocean, now shimmered with an iridescent glow visible from space, a lasting reminder of the psychic shield that had saved their world. Dr. Elena Reyes stood at the observation deck of Nexus Station, a massive space habitat orbiting at the L1 Lagrange point between Earth and the Moon. The station, a marvel of human ingenuity and awakened abilities, served as humanity's first true stepping stone to the stars. As Elena gazed out at the Earth below, she reflected on the incredible journey that had led them here. The years following the Devourer invasion had been tumultuous, filled with challenges and triumphs in equal measure. The activation of humanity's latent psychic abilities had led to a renaissance in nearly every field of human endeavor. Medical science had advanced by leaps and bounds, with awakened healers capable of curing diseases once thought incurable. Energy concerns became a thing of the past as psychics learned to draw power directly from the quantum foam of space-time. But perhaps the most significant changes had come in the realm of space exploration. With their newfound abilities, humans could now manipulate gravity, create localized wormholes, and even survive the vacuum of space unprotected for short periods. Penny, for your thoughts. A familiar voice broke through Elena's reverie. She turned to see Alex approaching, a warm smile on his face. Like Elena, he had aged little in the past 5 years, a side effect of their awakened physiologies. Just thinking about how far we've come, Elena replied, returning the smile. Sometimes I still can't believe it's real. Alex nodded, his gaze turning to the starfield beyond. I know what you mean. To think just a few years ago, we were arguing over whether aliens existed. Now we're preparing to join a galactic community. The mention of the galactic community sent a thrill of excitement through Elena. In the aftermath of the Devourer invasion, the Guardians had re-established contact with Earth. They had been monitoring the battle from afar, ready to intervene if humanity failed. But humanity's victory had proven them worthy of joining the ranks of awakened species. Speaking of which, Alex continued, the Council is waiting for us. The Guardians' envoy will be arriving soon. Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. Today marked a pivotal moment in human history, the day they would officially be welcomed into the Galactic Confederation. As they made their way to the council chambers, Elena and Alex passed by various sections of the station. In one area, scientists were experimenting with manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe. In another, engineers were putting the finishing touches on humanity's first faster-than-light ship. The council chamber itself was a marvel of psychic architecture, a space that seemed to shift and change based on the thoughts and emotions of those within. As Elena and Alex entered, they found the other members of the original team already assembled, Maria, Raj, Zara, and several others who had played crucial roles in Earth's defense. At the center of the chamber, a swirling vortex of energy began to form. The air crackled with power as a being of pure light stepped through, the Guardian envoy. "Greetings, children of Earth," the envoy's thoughts resonated in their minds. "You stand on the threshold of a new era for your species. Are you prepared to take your place among the stars?" Elena stepped forward, her voice steady. "We are. Humanity has faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger for it. We're ready to join the galactic community and face whatever new challenges await us." The Guardian envoy seemed to pulse with approval. "Very well. Know that this step is not taken lightly. With membership in the Confederation comes great responsibility. You'll be called upon to defend not just your world, but countless others against threats like the Devourers." "We understand," Elena replied, "and we're ready to do our part." With a gesture, the envoy created a holographic display of the Milky Way galaxy. Countless points of light represented awakened worlds, all interconnected in a vast network of alliance and mutual protection. "Behold," the envoy said, "the true scope of the Confederation. Each light represents a civilization that has overcome its own trials and evolved to take its place in the cosmic order. And now, humanity joins their ranks." As they watched, a new point of light appeared in the hologram, Earth, now officially part of the galactic community. The envoy continued, "But know this, your trials are not over. The Devourers you faced were but a scouting party. The main body of their force moves through the darkness between galaxies, always searching for new sources of energy to consume. It may be centuries or millennia before they return, but return they will. And when they do, all awakened species must stand united against them." The weight of this revelation settled heavily on the Council. The battle they had fought, as monumental as it was, had been just the beginning. "So what happens now?" Maria asked, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and apprehension. The Guardian envoy's form shifted, creating an image of a massive space station unlike anything they had ever seen. "This is the Nexus Prime," the envoy explained, "the heart of the Confederation's defense network. Representatives from Earth will be expected to take up residence there, to learn from other species and contribute to the ongoing efforts to protect our galaxy." Additionally, the envoy continued, "We will be sharing advanced technology with your species, designs for ships capable of intergalactic travel, weapons to combat cosmic-scale threats, and much more. But how you use this knowledge, how you continue to grow and evolve, will be up to you." As the envoy spoke, Elena felt a swell of emotion from her companions through their psychic link. Excitement, nervousness, determination, all mixed together in a uniquely human cocktail of feelings. "There's one more thing," the envoy added, its tone becoming somewhat hesitant. "In light of humanity's rapid advancement and the unique properties of your awakened abilities, the Confederation has a special request." The Council members leaned in, intrigued. "We believe that humanity may hold the key to finally defeating the Devourers once and for all," the envoy revealed. "Your species' ability to manipulate reality itself, to alter the fundamental laws of physics, it's unprecedented. We would like to establish a joint research initiative, combining the knowledge of the most advanced Confederation species with humanity's unique insights." Elena's mind raced with the implications. The opportunity to not just defend against the Devourers, but to potentially end their threat forever. It was beyond anything she had imagined. "Of course," she said, after a moment of silent communication with her fellow council members, "we would be honored to contribute to this effort." The Guardian envoy seemed to glow brighter with approval. "Then it is settled. From this day forward, Earth stands as a full member of the Galactic Confederation. May your wisdom guide you in the challenges to come." With a final pulse of light, the envoy disappeared, leaving the council chamber in a contemplative silence. It was Raj who finally broke the quiet. "So," he said, a grin spreading across his face, "who's up for an intergalactic road trip?" The tension broke as laughter filled the chamber. As Elena looked around at her friends, the people who had stood with her against impossible odds, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. They had unlocked the hidden potential of the human mind and reshaped their very reality. And now, they stood ready to take their place in a universe far grander and more wondrous than they had ever imagined. As the council began to discuss the logistics of their new role in the Confederation, Elena's gaze drifted back to the observation window. The stars seemed to shine brighter now, each one a potential destination, a new world to explore. The weapon that had saved humanity had become the key to unlocking the cosmos. And Elena Reyes, once a simple astronomer who had looked up at the night sky and dreamed, now stood ready to lead her species into an age of cosmic exploration and discovery. The battle against the Devourers had been won, but the true adventure was just beginning. Humanity's journey to the stars, and their role in shaping the fate of the galaxy, was only just beginning. As the Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun, now shimmering with the power of awakened minds, a new chapter in the story of humanity was about to unfold. The cosmos awaited, full of wonders to discover and challenges to overcome, and humanity, united and awakened, was ready to meet its destiny among the stars.